Yo, pen friends, happy weekend. I actually recorded a version of this last night, and when I listened back to it this morning, I was blown away. It was hilarious, it was informative, it was engaging, it was even inspiring at times, and I knew that I had to immediately delete it. That is just not what you guys expect out of me, and it's completely unsustainable. So let's keep the bar low with these. Let's keep it just an endless, monotonous string of nothingness. And with that in mind, let's talk first about a little bit of Pen Friends non-news, which is NDAs are still a thing. Everyone's kind of frustrated by that, including us. Not just including, I would say most of all. We're the most frustrated by that. But not much we can do about it. So we just have to wait until the powers that be deem it time to lift those, and then we'll do a happy dance, and yeah, and probably post a bunch of times on Twitter, and then sign new NDAs. That's probably exactly what will happen, actually. But I am curious how many of you out there maybe have put it together, what that might be, if there's something out there that we've talked about quite a bit that hasn't happened yet, that's sort of like a big deal in the NFT space, and that maybe we're linked up with that somehow, and that maybe you might figure that out. Yeah, is that a hint? I'm not sure. Are hints prohibited? I have to read the fine print. I should probably read the large print too, but anyways, moving right along. This is totally not related to what I was just hinting at when I'm talking about Amazon and what happened this week, which was Pudgy Penguins launched Pudgy Penguin merch on Amazon, and they did really, really well. I don't personally think that random families were buying Pudgy Penguins. I think it was Web3 people. That's okay. I think the more important thing is that they did well. It was talked about, and that's like the first step. It doesn't really matter where those purchases came from. It matters that people bought them by the thousands. That's great. And imagine how much easier that would be, or how much better that would be, if you could buy those penguins and then also buy a penguin NFT all within the same site and with the same credit card. Pretty cool, right? And that's what the Amazon digital marketplace is going to make possible. So you will have, as much as it's cool that Pudgy Penguins is an ETH NFT that you can buy on OpenSea, and then you can go to another website and buy the toys. It'd be pretty nice if everything was in one place, in one site, in one account, and that's where we're headed. So that's cool. And I look at that news and say, okay, people are happy to buy the fidgetals, and I hate that word. It's really stupid, but so yeah, it's just more reason to be excited for the Amazon development. It just has to actually begin. So let's figure that out, dudes, and and push the big red button that makes that start. Let's just go ahead and push that sooner than later. Our work on those three things that we've really been working on for the better part of 2023, like our work for those is effectively done. We have a couple days left. But this week, for the first time in a long time, we can wholeheartedly begin working on camp again. So we're really excited about that, because we really only get time to work on our own stuff in little gaps in our schedule. And we haven't had a lot of those. So it's nice to be able to focus back on it. And we will be leaning on you guys to help us mold camp into the best version of itself. In particular, we are wondering about what is the best duration for camp, what is the best frequency for camp, and what is the best format for camp. So we'll be posting some polls in the next few days and looking for feedback in terms of how long should camp last. Last time camp was 3.5 weeks, something like that. We're wondering if that was way too long, way too long, or way too long. So I'm sure that's exactly what the poll options will be. It'll be sophisticated like that. But yeah, we really want to know, should camp last for hours, for days, or for weeks? That might be a better poll. Some better poll options. We'll figure it out. Frosty can figure it out. And the next one would be the frequency. You know, how, like, right now, obviously, we've only run camp once. We would like to make that much more of a regular occurrence. That gives more value to the campers. It gives us a chance to continually improve it and make it better. And so what's the ideal frequency? I think with duration, the thing was like, you want it to be engaging. You don't want people to kind of tune out. So you want it to be short enough that people don't lose interest, but you also want it to be long enough that you have a real sense of, oh my God, like I'm far into the game. You know, like I think that's exciting when you get to be in the last 2,500 even. You know, it's like that was an accomplishment. So anyways, yeah, I think there's a sweet spot in there to find, and we may not nail it in the next one, but maybe a couple ones down the line we'll figure that out. But with your feedback, maybe we'll get there a bit quicker. So yeah, on the frequency side, it's kind of like, is it something that should be every Friday? Is it something that should be once a month? Should it be biannually, annually? I'm not sure. So we want to sort that out as well and figure out what people think about that. And then the format obviously is a big one. I think at its core, camp will always be about FUD killing campers, and wanting to protect yourself and hide from him and be the last camper standing. But we have some questions in terms of the number one, the prizes. I think that's a big one. Last time around, as you likely know, it was just one large cash prize. We did a bunch of daily prizes that were NFTs, but really it was very top heavy, the prize pool, in a massive cash payment to one person. And do we like that? Is that exciting? Does that really suck for, people that ended up in the top 10 but not in the money? They ended up making a deal anyways. All the people in the top 5 made a deal to split it. So knowing that that's possible, do we ahead of time say, the top 3 get something, the top 5, where is the sweet spot in terms of that prize pool? And then on the other side of things, it's like the number of holders that participate. We want that number to be high, and we know that right now that could be tough. We've had a lot of people, I think, just kind of disappear in the ecosystem, like across all projects. There's people that kind of abandoned wallets. So, and I think general interest is lower because the market is tough. So I think it could be difficult to get more participation than last time. And we don't want that. We want more, and hopefully way more. So the issue there, last time we were promoting something that was, it was a mint, and it was something that was happening right away. And it had a prize at the end of it, and that was cool. Now, when promoting the next version of camp, we're asking people to go on secondary and pick up a camper. They're super cheap, which should be seen as a positive, but I think there's like a mental hurdle there where you're like, wait, why what am I doing? You know? It, I feel like that could be a tougher sell than minting for a higher price. So something, an idea that we're kicking around, and we'd like to get your feedback on it, is what if we opened participation up to camp beyond campers? And now they would participate at a disadvantage. And what would that disadvantage be? I mean, we'd have to figure that out. But say, for example, we partnered with a collection that had 5,000 tokens in it. Those people with those NFTs would be able to participate in camp at some disadvantage. Let's say, for example, campers would have twice as many item slots as non-campers. The idea being that they don't have to buy anything to get into the game. And once they get into the game, they'll say, this is pretty cool, because they're pretty confident that it's fun. And we think that if we can get people like that into the game, then they're going to say, well, if I want to participate fully, I really should be getting a camper, and I can go to the marketplace of my choice and pick up a camper. But like, you're not starting with that. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, they're in. So if we can get 4, 5, 6,000 people in that way, now we've got that many people playing. The progressive jackpot is going to be bigger, which makes it, it just gets easier to promote it, because the whole thing just kind of snowballs. More people talking about it, and that's really what we need, is more people in the game. So that's an idea that we're kicking around. Love to hear your feedback on that. I know that could feel like it slightly devalues campers, but the goal really is to increase the value of campers by having those people exposed to the advantages of campers, because right now people can't see that. So I think the ultimate goal there would be to drive the value of campers up and to increase participation in camp. Tenfold would be sweet. So there's really two parts, I think, to the advantages side of that we're considering for campers right now, which is they would have twice as many item slots. That would be advantage number one. And then advantage number two is that campers would have access to a mini game. Could be fishing, could be something else, but a game that has outcomes that are advantageous and that are only available to campers. So, for example, you could win free items. Okay, let's just say, for example, so more item slots, access to free items. Those are things that go along with campers. If you're participating with a non-camper, you don't get those things. So those are things that we're considering. We already spent some time building out the mini game anyway, so probably use that no matter what, regardless of what the participation level is of non-campers. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at with that. So next few days, we'll hopefully have a good discussion about ideal duration, frequency, and format for camp. And we're excited, super excited. I do want to mention also that we are making a concerted effort to raise the profile of Pen Friends. For like a year, we've had really low sell pressure, low listings, and that's great, but we need some buy pressure. We'd really like to remind people of who we are. It's I think it's easy to forget. People always move on to the new shiny toy, and quite honestly, like, we're too busy to do the PR that's required. That's the kind of like the sad reality, is like, we work on the day-to-day stuff. If you look at Frank is a great example. The man is a PR machine. He is a full-time PR guy, and his job is to make sure that people are talking about DGods, good, bad, or indifferent. Center the conversation always around DGods, and that's what he does. And if the narrative is focused on something negative at the time, then the sort of the counter narrative becomes people are fading us, we're underdogs, they're going to learn. If the narrative is positive, then the conversation becomes about we're going to number one, and it just kind of flip flop between those two things. It's not rocket science. And if you have someone in that position, you're kind of set, because you can really drive conversation to your project 24/7, and that's what he does really well. And other projects also do well. There's a bunch of them that make sure that they're always being talked about with varying degrees of success, but that's such a thing, and that's something that we have not done. Like I say, Jeff and Jay and I are doing the work, and that means we don't also have time to do that other stuff. So it would be nice. I would like to do more spaces and try and get out there more and get more people talking about Pen Friends. But I think, I think realistically, like, we need help, and that's part of why I'm excited about our partnership with this marketing firm that we are currently doing some work with, and getting some meetings that we just frankly never would have got without them. So that's exciting, and they're deeply connected in the Web3 space. And so yeah, I'm interested to see what will happen there. It's already paid some dividends in terms of work for us, but I think it could lead to just a whole new level of exposure and ultimately demand, really, for Pen Friends and Camp, but just demand to be a part of our ecosystem, as the 42 Hamsters brand, as the Pen Friends stuff, like, as we sort of move beyond our current reach, which will happen first because we are animating an ETH collection, and then additionally because we're animating other collections of note, not on ETH as well. So it's like we're expanding our sphere of influence. The marketing firm plays a big part in that, and it'd be really interesting to see what happens as we move forward. But even outside of that, you may have seen in the last couple of weeks, we're also doing some work animating for notables in the space. I don't really want to say like influencers, because you're not going to see us doing free animations for Anglio, but we recognize that, okay, if we animate Solana Sensei's ape, we're going to get 10K plus views on that. That's free marketing for us. Could we have hit him up for $150? Sure. But we wouldn't, like, it makes more sense for us to take the views, and be referred to as a legend. And that happens quite often. A bunch of different projects refer to us as legends. I think our job now is to have Solana holders in general feel that way about us too. I think a bunch of projects do, some individuals do. We need, a few thousand more Solana NFT maxis to also consider us legends, and a necessary part of any Solana wallet is at least one Pen Friend. So we got some work to do there. Those are a couple of things that we are doing to do it. Obviously, the art update as well. Art's looking really cool. I love it. The hope is that all of these things working together will push us over the hump there, and then allow us to really take advantage of the, like I say, that low cell pressure. Once we pump that buy pressure up a bit, then we'll be in good shape. So we'll have to let those things play out over the next 3 months, and then kind of see where we're at. But it's a roller coaster ride, man. It is every day. Within each day, I feel like even there are just massive ups and downs. But it's definitely not boring. Nope. The most boring part in all of Web3 is these videos. So if you made it through another one of those, congrats. You're a machine. And as always, pen friends for life.